Hello, welcome to Sabbath School with Branch Davidians. I'm Ed, and I'm here with my wife, Mary.
Hello, we're excited you're joining us today.
Yes, thanks for listening. We present or expound on a principle or belief related to the SDA Sabbath School Quarterly each week. This quarter is on the book of Ephesians. This week's lesson is called Horizontal Atonement, the Cross and the Church. It discusses the unity and peace that the cross can bring to us on earth. Monday's lesson is entitled Reconciliation, God's Gift from the Cross. It reads, "It was Christ's purpose to reconcile them both, Jew and Gentile, to God in one body through the cross." That's Ephesians 2:16, and compare that to Colossians 1:19 through 22, Sabbath School Quarterly Lesson, Monday, July 24th, 2023. Then the lesson says this about horizontal reconciliation. Reconciliation is experienced in the moment when one church member lays aside whatever issue divides from another and acknowledges the other church member as a beloved brother or sister who accepts what has been offered. That's Sabbath School Quarterly Lesson, Monday, July 24th, 2023.
While I can't say exactly what the author of the Sabbath School lesson meant by this statement, people sometimes say similar things in order to advocate a reconciliation by compromise sort of view. Basically, in this view, reconciliation occurs when one of the two parties decides to just let go of their position solely for the sake of unity. In almost everything I've ever seen promoting unity among church members, especially among SDAs today, this is the means by which it is thought to be achieved. One party needs to suck it up and give in based on criteria we'll get to in a minute. But first, I think all of us know that this method really doesn't bring true reconciliation or true peace. How could it? We would just be saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace, right? Furthermore, Ephesians 2 says nothing about achieving peace and reconciliation this way.
What Ephesians 2 does say brings about reconciliation between two parties is the cross. In Ephesians 2:15, we read, "Having abolished in his flesh the enmity, that is, the law of the commandments contained in ordinances, so as to create in himself one new man from the two, thus making peace, and that he might reconcile them both to God in one body through the cross, thereby putting to death the enmity." That's Ephesians 2:15 through 16. This enmity is the law of commandments contained in ordinances, although it should be noted that the word contained was added by the translators. So, what is this law of commandments and ordinances?
Well, one thing we can know for sure is that it isn't the law of God. In Romans 6, Paul tells us explicitly that putting on the new man by grace and through faith doesn't make void God's law, but rather establishes it. Furthermore, this law of commandments and ordinances in Ephesians 2 is equated with the enmity or hostility between Jews and Gentiles. But no law God ever gave was the source of such hostility. Instead, we all know from the Old Testament that if the Jews kept God's laws, statutes, and judgments, they would be a light to the nations, while disobeying God is what would make them despised. A key to understanding what Paul is talking about here is the word translated ordinances. The word in Greek is dogma. It doesn't have all the connotations of the word dogma in English, but it refers to an opinion or decision, typically one given by an authority. The phrase law of commandments and ordinances, or dogmas, decisions, can be understood in more than one way. On one hand, it might be saying that the law of commandments is based on opinions or decisions, or it might be saying that the law of commandments is conveyed through opinions or decisions. In either case, it doesn't describe God's law. God's law, his instructions, is based on truth and conveyed through inspiration, which doesn't show respect to human opinions. Regarding the basis of God's law, Ellen White wrote, quote, "With reverent hearts we should bow to God's expressed will. We are not left in uncertainty. For in all the varied circumstances of life, we may walk according to the instructions of God, which are based upon golden principles of truth, and revealed in the precepts of his law." Close quote, Ellen White, Review and Herald, July 22, 1890, paragraph 7.
Notice she doesn't say that God's instructions are based on his own authority. Rather, they are based on the principles of truth. And Psalm 119, 160 says this very thing. It reads, "Truth is the head of your issuances, and every right adjudication is for ineffable time." In other words, the source of God's issuances, his decrees or words, is truth.
The reason why we trust God as an authority is because, well, his laws are based on truth, and his core character is one of truthfulness and right doing. You can't argue with truth, right? Coming to an understanding of truth will bring peace and reconciliation, of course, to those who love the truth and want to align themselves with it. It's the only thing that can make two parties into one. This should make it clear that the thing that was separating Jews and Gentiles in Paul's day was not anything God had said, but rather the law of commandments that came from the opinions of men. When people believed and obeyed these false opinions, it created hostility between groups. It created what Ellen White called the party spirit.
We should not have the party spirit. We should identify ourselves with truth rather than with this or that party. Ellen wrote, "While the members of the church are in a divided state of feeling, their hearts are hard and unimpressible. The efforts of the minister are like blows upon cold iron, and each party becomes more set in his own way than before. The minister is placed in a most unenviable position, for though he should decide ever so wisely, his decision must displease someone, and thus the party spirit is strengthened." That's Ellen White, Testimonies for the Church, Volume 5, page 616, paragraph 2.
Here, notice that those members of the church of the party spirit are not influenced by wisdom, but by feeling. They are set in their own way rather than identifying with the truth and letting truth set their way. The truth, according to Ellen, cannot impress their hardened hearts when in the party spirit condition, and therefore they cannot be corrected when shown to be wrong based on sufficient evidence that something is truth. Truth doesn't respect party positions. It cuts right through party lines. Compromise doesn't unite parties. It only makes them cooperate for a time. Truth, though, dissolves party lines and provides the only real basis for genuine unity.
If we want to achieve this unity, we need to be willing to have our opinions corrected. We need to be willing to see that they are false, if that's what truth shows them to be. The cross exposes where falsehood and erroneous opinions lead. Hatred against Jesus only arose because his message of truth and his righteous life were a constant reproof against error and sin. When people love darkness, they can go to any length to extinguish light. But the light wasn't ultimately quenched. Jesus' perseverance in righteousness and love, even in the midst of such darkness, reveals the light of truth all the more brightly. The cross reveals both sin and righteousness for what they are. It shows error as error and truth as truth. In doing so, it calls all, both Jew and Gentile, to forsake their errors and sins and devote themselves to walking in the truth.
We'll leave you with something Paul said later in Ephesians. Quote, "Put away, as concerning your former way of life, the old man that grows corrupt after the lusts of deceit, and that you be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and put on the new man, who in the likeness of God has been created in righteousness and holiness of truth. Therefore, putting away falsehood, speak truth, each one with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes on the children of disobedience. Therefore, don't be partakers with them. For you were once darkness, but are now light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is well-pleasing to the Lord." Close quote, Ephesians 4:22-25 and Ephesians 5:6-10.
Thank you for staying with us till the end. We invite you to visit our website, www.bdsda.com, to learn more about who we are and, just as important, who we are not. Please join us each week as we will continue to offer new and interesting insights for your Sabbath School studies.
And if you want to keep up with our new studies as they're published, we recommend subscribing. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on plenty of other podcast apps. Links for subscribing are in the description.
God bless.
Many blessings.